Welcome back to Motivation Nation. I'm your host, Air Gordon. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to actually be reacting to a video of myself. And I know what you're saying. What do you mean a video of yourself? Well, at one point in my life, I was a stand-up comedian and an actor, which is what this channel is working us towards, to me doing stand-up comedy again and getting back on stage. And so with me being an actor, I was on a few TV shows, one of which being America's Most Wanted. No, I was not a criminal. I did a reenactment. And so there's a video of me on the America's Most Wanted episode, and someone from my other channel saw the video and asked me to do a reaction and kind of do a behind the scenes of the episode of America's Most Wanted that I was on, and asked me questions like, what was it like to be on set? What was this? What was that? I was actually on there with Detective Quinn from ATL Homicide, and he had his own show for a while. I don't know if it's still on or not, but it ran for multiple seasons, and I was able to act with him before he got his own TV show. So we're going to be reacting to this. I will be giving you guys some behind the scenes exclusive I wouldn't say footage, but some exclusive knowledge of how things were done, how things were shot, things of that nature. So this is just in response to someone who saw it and asked me to do a reaction. So this is America's Most Wanted. It's called the International Robbing Crew, Mamadou Barry case, and let's get started.
The cold case murder in Atlanta. It led to a bizarre inside story about the lead detective. And as Angeline Hartman discovered, this unlikely story started a chain reaction that pushed this case around some hair-raising curves. Where y'all come from? Where y'all come from? Y'all don't want that. Y'all don't want none. Rep your hood, son. Rep your hood, son. Y'all gon' get some. All around the world and seen many places. You know, a lot of cops have nicknames. I've always just been Quinn, my last name. People, they know me. A lot of times it's not just about police work, but they just know my face. That's all I've worked. Murders at the hand, of others, and usually in the hood.
Yeah, be in the ghetto with this one.
Detective David Quinn had a problem. He'd spent more than a year chasing ghosts and dead-end leads in a whodunit murder mystery. But he wasn't ready to throw in the towel quite yet. We profiled Quinn's unsolved case on our show in December 2006 about an immigrant from Guinea named Mamadou Barry. He was robbed, tortured, and found murdered in the bathroom of his apartment. It was an investigation unlike any the veteran detective had ever worked before. And the case was wearing on him.
I lost hair on the Mamadou Barry case. I mean, weight. Mamadou Barry was of special interest to me. Mr. Barry was bound, he was gagged, he was actually affixed to the shower rod. And the way in which he was killed, I know it's my job, but it got a little personal. I mean, it really did.
Quinn hoped you could provide the answer to a key clue in the case. You see, he had searched a storage unit that Mamadou had rented and found a piece of evidence. A crumpled up receipt from a shoe store in Atlanta. The date, November 28th, 2005. The same day, Mamadou's body was discovered.
He's gonna come all the way around this particular carousel here.
When Quinn pulled surveillance video from the business, he focused on a group of men shopping. This man makes a purchase at the same time stamped on the receipt. Quinn believed the unidentified crew was involved in Mamadou's murder and hoped an alert viewer could identify one of the men. But unfortunately, nothing panned out. Then, in February 2007, just 3 months after our broadcast, Quinn got word that his cold case was starting to heat up.
Hello? I'm at home. What's up, Smitty? I actually got a call from one of the detectives that was on duty at the Atlanta Homicide Office. Said there's some ATF personnel. They've got a guy talking about a murder involving an African. Really? Seriously? Well, right away I knew it's got to be something about my Mama DuBarry case. I'm on the way. So, I take off the apron, from cooking dinner, and I'm heading on downtown.
Quinn was anxious to have a sit-down with the man waiting for him at the homicide office. The veteran detective earns his paycheck in the interrogation room, breaking...
Now I'm going to stop right here. This is a quick note about this particular scene. I remember this because they had to film this scene probably 15 to 20 times because we were not too far from, BWI Airport. We filmed this in Baltimore, at a police station in Baltimore. And we shot it over 2 days. So we shot some of the scenes one day in a different part of Maryland, and the second day at a real police station in a real jail in Baltimore. And we weren't that far from BWI or maybe some private airport, I'm not sure. But every time they would film this scene and she would come up those steps, an airplane would fly over and mess up the sound. So they had to keep doing it over and over and over. Every time she would get almost to the end, and that freaking airplane would come flying overhead and mess up the sound. And so they finally were able to get one take. So that's one of the main things I remember from this scene. But we're going to move on.
Who try to spin lies into the truth. But this time would be different, because the main character in the man's story would be Quinn himself.
They called me in. You got something to tell me about the Mama DuBarry murder?
Yeah. You Quinn, right?
That's right.
All right, check it. Tell me if this sounds familiar. Christmas Eve, 2006. I say middle afternoon. You was shopping at the Shoe Zone in Southwest Atlanta.
I walk into this store to buy my kid a pair of sneakers. Hey, excuse me. You got this in a 6?
Sure, let me check. I remember that day. I was with my man, Jeremy.
Jeremy who?
Jeremy Dunn. You know it?
No, but what's that got to do with my murder investigation?
It's got everything to do with your murder investigation. Hey, you might not know Jeremy, but he knows you. Your face, at least.
Hold up.
What's up, man?
I know him.
Who?
Him.
What about him?
He's a cop.
Yeah, he told me about you. He said he seen you on TV investigating some murder on America's Most Wanted. I'm just looking.
Okay, I'm going to stop right here. So this scene, so people did ask me, like, how did I even get this role? So back then, there used to be a website that I forgot the name of the site, but that's how I would find out about auditions. So I actually went in to audition for this America's Most Wanted. I didn't actually go in and audition for the lead role. Because this is a true story, you generally would audition for the roles of the people that you were closer to resemblance of. And so the person who was the star of this particular, well, not star, but the main criminal of this murder investigation was a light-skinned gentleman. So I went out for the Jeremy Dunn, and that's the guy who I'm actually talking to when we're walking and talking. And so I actually auditioned for that role because I was close in skin complexion to that guy than the main guy. But when I walked in and did my reading, they really liked the way that I read. So they asked me to read for the main character. So that's how I ended up getting pushed into the main character role, which was good for me because the main character's in the show the entire time. I made the most money. And I got more screen time. I got more lines. I got to say more. I got to do more. And so the Jeremy role went to another great actor. Eric, he and I are still good friends to this day. And we kicked it and had a good time on set. But that's kind of how I got into the main role. I didn't even go out for it. It's just when I went in there, they liked the way that I read. They liked the way that I was acting, the way that I was portraying everything. And so they pushed me over into this role. So I just want to give you that little background. And this is at a real jail. And this is a real detective. It's just he's an Atlanta detective, but I'm not a real criminal. So that's the only thing that's not real in all this.
This guy, as the stuff's coming out of his mouth, I know he's not making it up. It kind of shocked me. In essence, I was under surveillance.
He's working this murder.
So that's the role I went out
He got
for.
it all wrong.
How you know that?
So I'm the one who did it.
What?
Dunn said that to you.
Yep. He said he broke into that man's apartment.
I robbed this African dude in his apartment, right? And I murdered him in his bathroom.
Wait a second, I'm confused. Is Dunn one of the guys in the surveillance video from America's Most Wanted?
No, man. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Listen, those guys in the video had nothing to do with this.
Nothing.
According to the informant, the men in the video were victims themselves.
It's crazy because the cop got video of some other guys he think did it. The snap is coming.
Turns out Jeremy Dunn robbed those three people during the same week Mamadou Barry was killed, and at some point must have dropped the receipt. So you're going to testify to this in open court?
Yeah. I'm your man.
What are you thinking when you're hearing this?
It seemed too good to be true. I just didn't believe it. You know, it's right there in front of me, and I'm eager to jump all over the Mamadou Barry case, reinvigorate it, and go with the information I now have.
But Quinn had no idea that the new information would take him down a dark path littered with bullets and dead bodies.
When we come back, the roller coaster homicide detective David Quinn and his investigation into the murder of businessman Mamadou Barry. We ran a story about Barry's murder here on our program. Well, one of the alleged killers saw that story and then actually saw Detective Quinn Christmas shopping. The bad guy recognized the cop from AMW and discussed the case with one of his buddies, a buddy who would soon become an informant. The informant would spill everything he knew about the murder of Mamadou Barry and tell Detective Quinn even more. Now Angeline Hartman is back with the rest of this bizarre story, and it only gets way stranger from here.
The informant gave Quinn what he never had before, a named suspect in Mamadou Barry's murder. The detective teamed up with the ATF and began digging, and they couldn't believe what they uncovered. Police say Jeremy Dunn was just one player in a violent gang called the International Robbing Crew, a gang that changed Quinn's one murder case into a trail of blood and bodies all over the city of Atlanta.
This was a different kind of violence. An actual group that was working in concert, actually pulling off these robberies where people were dying. It's Quinn.
Now this happened, I think after the Hurricane Katrina. So this International Robbing Crew was a crew of, they were a crew out of New Orleans, and they had moved to Atlanta. So that's where this International Robbing Crew came from. They didn't come from overseas, despite the name.
And when Quinn's street contacts began calling him about the International Robbing Crew, he knew the rules of the game in the hood were changing.
This is one of the strangest cases because the police department was reporting to me that we had other criminals complaining about this group.
Wow.
And the crooks had some kind of code of ethics, and apparently these guys never complied with it.
Criminals called the police
Murders were
department.
still happening, and we had to get out there and do something to stop it.
While Quinn was trying to put Jeremy Dunn behind bars and shut down the IRC, police say the gang struck again. In May 2006, 2007. Police say jewelry store owner Randy Griffin and his girlfriend became the next targets of the international robbing crew. An ambush attack for cash and jewelry.
Give me your wallet. Hey, give me the ice in the head. Hey, give me your wallet. Okay, I got you. Give me go. Hey, yo, give me the ice.
Fearing for his life, Randy fought back.
Yo, back up. Go. Back up. Hey, she's gonna go into it. Get down.
During the shootout, Randy hit one of the gang members in the chest.
Stay down. All right, they're leaving. Are you all right? Oh, my God.
Okay, so let's stop right here. So I know what you guys are thinking. How do they do a shootout scene? And the shootout scene is very, very interesting because it took us about 4 or 5 hours to do that scene because we had to do that scene from each angle that you guys saw. So I'm the guy in the hoodie. I'm the guy who ended up getting shot. And we had to do it from my perspective, the guy that ran out and shot's perspective, the couple's perspective, and the third guy's perspective. So we had to do it from all of those different perspectives. And those are real guns, but the barrel has been shaved down so that a real bullet could not come out of it. So what they would do, they bring you the gun and they show you that the barrel has been shaved down, and they actually have caps. So those are actual blanks. So when you shoot it, that's why the shell comes out, because those are blanks. There's no gunpowder. And how do they get the dents in the car? Well, there's a guy with a paintball gun. So you can't see him, but when I get up to shoot, or the other guy gets up to shoot, he's shooting the paintball gun at the car. So that's giving the dents in the car. And as far as the bullets in the glass, they have some pre-wired, kind of like explosives. So when the person shoots, they have another person who sets it off one by one by one by one. And so they'll do it, and they'll replace the windshield with another windshield, and then they'll replace the windshield with another windshield. And all of this stuff is already wired up. And so therefore, when you see these shooting scenes and you see the glass breaking and bullets going in the glass, that's just a little bit of explosion going through all of that. And so they always tell you, even when you are pointing a gun at someone, you don't point it directly at them, you point it down. So if you look at when the guy shot at me and hit me, he was actually pointing the gun down a little bit. And so once he shot, that just in case anything, it was an accident, it wasn't an actual blank or something happened, it would not actually shoot a person. So that's how that scene was filmed. And that scene right there took the longest amount of time out of all the scenes. That was the last scene that we shot for that day, because it took a long time, because they had to set it up from all these different angles. And that scene was actually shot in the police department parking lot. And because they were, real guns, people were calling the police department saying that they were hearing gunshots. And so the police department, every time they got a call, they would have to tell the people that it was a training exercise at the police departments, and not be alarmed, because they continued to get calls all day long because people thought that there was a shooting going on in the neighborhood. So that's another interesting thing and some more behind the scenes, but let's keep moving.
All right. Can you walk? All right, let's go. Gotta get you to the house.
When Randy rushed his girlfriend to the hospital, there was an unexpected encounter in the emergency room. Randy spotted the same gunman he just shot. He quickly identified the suspect, and police slapped on the cuffs. His name? Carlos Drennan. Police say it turned out Drennan was one of the leaders of the international robbing crew. A bigger bombshell? Drennan was also Quinn's secret informant. The man who set the detective on the right track in the Mamadou Barry case.
Jeremy killed that guy.
Police say for months, Drennan had been feeding Quinn secret information about the IRC, helping Quinn build a case. But Drennan never explained his own involvement in the crime spree. Now, both investigations were in jeopardy.
I feel like my feet have been kicked out from under me. Here's the guy I'm working.
And that was they did a real fingerprinting, a real lineup shot and all that stuff. So all that stuff is real at a real police station. So just to let you know that part, all of that other stuff, it's real.
For all these months, and it turns out he's part of the crew. He was playing both sides of the fence. And to this day, I don't know what his motivation was. What the hell happened? They said you got shot trying to rob some guy.
Man, I don't know what you're talking about.
You know what I'm talking about? I can't use you now. You got no credibility. Do you see what this looks like? It looks like you really are part of the crew. At this point, you're no different than Jeremy Dunn. No different. And that's just it. You're going to look down. That's it. That's okay. What we're going to do, we're going to take down the whole crew. We're going to get the answers, man. We're going to get the truth. Okay?
Did you think at that point the case was over?
This was a blow so devastating I knew.
Quinn's investigation. But it didn't stop Drennan from his scheming. Authorities say Drennan from behind bars plotted to have his charges dropped for good.
While he is in the jail, he figures out that the only person who can keep him in jail, at least he thought, was Randy Griffin. So he then directs his fellow gang members to kill Randy Griffin.
Detectives say Drennan coordinated the assassination all over the phone while in lockdown.
Hey, man, it's Lois. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to take care of something for me.
3 weeks later, Randy Griffin is gunned down outside a nightclub in downtown Atlanta, which in our estimation is a clear-cut case of malice murder. A confirmation call was placed by Carlos Drennan whereupon...
Okay, I'm going to pause it right here because I got to say something about this confirmation call. So, in preparation for this confirmation call, they sent me the audio that you're about to hear of Carlos and his girlfriend on the jail phone. And so they say, hey, I need you to listen to this. This is what you're going to have to mimic. And so I had to listen at it. And I had to listen to him talk. I had to listen to her talk. I had to listen to him talk. I had to listen to her talk. But when I actually make the phone call, now this is, again, I'm in a real jail. So what they did is the jail was split into like two sides. So they cleared everybody off of one side and we filmed on the other side. But there was a big glass where all the inmates could see through. It was a huge glass that separated. There was like 3 different bays. So I guess you had certain inmates here, there, because some of these inmates had work release and some of them didn't. So they pushed them all in the same dorm or area. But it was a big glass that they could see through so they could see us. So while I'm filming this now, you got about 50, 60 inmates looking at me. And then all of the guards and stuff are like right in front of me in a doorway looking at me. And you got the camera people behind me. And I have to pick this phone up and I have to make this phone call, but there's nobody on the other end. And I have to make it seem as though I'm talking to someone. So I have to talk and pause, talk, pause, as if I'm having a real conversation. But all I'm hearing in my ears, you're not going to actually hear that because they're going to put the voiceover over that. But just know, when I do this scene, this is me talking to myself, but I'm giving myself the beats as though I'm having a real conversation with somebody on the other line. But there's actually nobody on the other line. It's just all eyes on me. And I'm not going to lie, this particular scene was probably the most nerve-wracking because I had about 70, 80 people just staring at me on the phone, pretending like I'm talking to someone. But I got through it, and it ended up coming out good. But anyway, let me let you guys see it so you can see what I'm saying.
He learned Randy Griffin had been eliminated.
What up, girl?
Police say that jailhouse phone call was recorded.
Who's talking?
That's Carlos actually talking to his girlfriend after he makes a phone call to her from the jail.
You know my Auntie Monique.
Yeah, Auntie who?
Monique.
Is there a Monique?
She has no Auntie Monique. We've confirmed that.
She's talking in code.
She's talking about his gang member named Mo.
You not dumb, Carlos. You know my Auntie Monique. Monique. Yeah.
When you listen, you can actually hear he finally catches on. Now he's all ears.
I think she had her husband last night.
She did.
Yes.
That was the code to let him know that Mo actually killed Randy Griffin.
So it's OV, huh?
Yep.
Where was they at?
She got mad at him because he went to the club.
What he's trying to get is some kind of location. Where did it occur? I mean, he's in jail. He wants a play-by-play now.
What club, you know?
One?
Huh?
112, something like that. I don't know.
You can see she's nervous. I mean, but she actually gives out the location, which is Club 112.
Which is exactly where it happened.
Right there. Randy Griffin exited Club 112 and was gunned down in the parking lot of that same nightclub.
So you telling me 100% that is over?
Yes.
So that's something we ain't got to worry about no more, huh?
That's messed up.
That's life, man.
We had to look closer at Carlos Drennan at that point. Those jail recordings, it brought everything together. And it made us understand how he played a role in that case, whereas before, we were just taking his information and trying to verify it.
All the attorneys are here now.
Between the taped conversations and the tireless work of Detective Quinn and the ATF, investigators were able to keep Carlos Drennan locked up. They also took down 13 other members of the international robbing crew, including Jeremy Dunn and 2 other thugs, charging that trio with the brutal murder of Mamadou Barry, the case that started a chain reaction to justice.
Who knew it would turn to be like this? We are investigating the death of Mr. Mamadou Barry. And then from that investigation, 6 other investigations open up. The airing of the story in America's Most Wanted to me was that hook that took us down the road that solved a total of 7 murders. It all happened for a reason, I guess the way it was supposed to happen.
You know, this show can work in some strange and mysterious ways, but lots of people come forward, lots of things get done, and bad guys are off the street. Since our original airing of the Mamadou Barry murder case, cops keep finding more ties to other violent crimes. To date, investigators have arrested a total of 15 people in 8 different murder cases. Now, it's been a long road to justice for all of the victims involved. The first IRC case is scheduled for trial this April. It all started with one cold case, and no matter how it happened, we're really glad to get.
All right. So anyway, so that's the end of that. So, but a lot of people asked me, did I get a chance to meet John Walsh? No, I did not. So I did not get a chance to meet John Walsh. But, you know, so that's the end of this video. If you guys have any other questions, just feel free to reach out to me on the email that I have in the description. But yeah, all in all, it was a fun shoot. I really enjoyed myself. Really learned a lot. That was me as the lead in that one over a 2-day. And that one actually got residuals. So it actually aired twice. What ended up happening was the first time that they aired it, it was supposed to have been like the biggest one of the year, but they actually aired it during the I think it was during the NASCAR championship the first time. And so they had to change the date and the time, so they didn't get the viewership that they wanted. So then they tried to air it again, but they messed around and aired it during the NCAA National Championship game. So they were competing against that, so they still didn't get the numbers that they wanted. And from then on, I don't think they aired it. Excuse me. They didn't air it again after that, but as far as I know. So I did get paid up front for doing it, and then I got paid again when it aired a second time. So fun times. That's what this channel is about: living, learning, and trying to chase your dreams. And again, I'm working my way back to the stage. But that's it for this video. I will see y'all on the next one. I'm out.